computer. Okay. So let's attempt the quiz first, test our knowledge on yesterday, the part for which I could not provide you the video. So we have a quiz. Once everybody is in, just let me know in chat box with yes. You must be seeing a QR code. You can just scan that QR code, or you can go to slido.com and put this code which is in front of you. Okay, so Karthik is in, Bhumika is in, Vinit is also in. Omkar is in. Can somebody write the code? I think it's 4190033, isn't it?
4196 033.
Perfect. So I hope people can log in now. Okay, so we are starting. First question in front of you is a case lit. So you have to read the case and then answer it this time. All are case lit based. Time is little higher, 30 seconds. The faster will give you better marks. Okay. A lot of you, first question must be missed. Uh, Correct. The correct answer is Paris Alignment. Which agreement was adopted in 2015, marking a legally binding global commitment to climate action? Legally binding was Paris Agreement. Next question. You have 30 seconds, so do it fast. Absolutely. That's the correct answer. Most of you have got it right. It's a nationally determined contribution, right? Which are plan, these are the plan which is called under Paris Agreement is nationally determined contribution. Next question. I briefly mentioned about it. Which article of the Paris Agreement governs international carbon market? The ITMOs I talked about. All of you got it correct. Very good. Next one. What are these blueprint referred to as in COP framework? Okay, the correct answer is long-term strategies, LT. Next question. Budget allocation for climate resilience. An international climate fund receives a mandatory contribution via a 2% levy on carbon offset. I have covered that. 2% levy on carbon offset. What fund uses this mechanism to finance adoption projects? Very good. Very good. Most of you are correct. Adoption funds. Adoption fund uses 2% levy on carbon credit. Next one. Investing in low carbon future. A sustainability think tank is evaluating a fund that targets 100 billion annually for developing countries. Bej is not in class, right? Yeah, he's not in class today. Yeah. Very good. The most vulnerable nation we are talking about, and that's the climate finance commitment. Climate finance commitments talks about 100 billion fund. Next one. A policymaker present a national strategy aiming for GHG emission to peak and decline rapidly. Which Paris Agreement provision supports this approach? Challenging question, right? Emission goals. Okay, two more question and then we will start new session today. Global Review Conference in 2023, COP28 finalized a major milestone assessing the Paris Agreement effort. How many of you watched those outcomes? COP28 outcomes. What is the name of this comprehensive review? Global Stocktake is the answer. Next, aligning local action with global targets. The city plans urban electrification and low carbon transport strategy to meet its NDC, nationally determined contribution. Which NDC action does this best reflect? Very good. The correct answer is planning and tools. Okay, so with that we have come to the end. Somebody has named himself greenhouse gases, top the class, and then previous batch people. Okay, perfect. Let's go to next. We will be starting with module 2, very interesting module because it starts with basics and then we will rapidly building up to do the carbon inventory, scope 1 and 2 emissions, and finally we will go to scope 3 emission in module 3. Now, let's understand what all we have covered till now. We have already covered fundamental principles of climate change. We looked into introduction to climate and weather concept. Differentiating between them was short term versus long term, location and atmospheric conditions. Now, climate change, once we have understood that, we also looked into pollution, then we went into greenhouse gases. We recognized that carbon dioxide as a primary contributor to GHG, and then global and national emission landscape. That's what we have done till date, where we started with looking into evidences, 800,000 years data. We looked into Arctic's ice and sea level changes, and then we looked into each of those greenhouse gases. What are the natural and what are the human generated GHG coming from them? Finally, we looked into impact of industrialization, and then we went into international climate agreement, where we learned about international regulatory frameworks and how NDCs and Paris Agreement defines every country top-down carbon or GHG emissions. We also talked about Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement, and then we also talked about little bit about carbon markets. Now that's what we have covered in module one. Module two, we uh, we will be talking about national framework for carbon accounting. First, we will learn the carbon accounting itself, what exactly it is, how it works. We will look into a small case study here of Microsoft, what they are trying to do and how their carbon accounting system really helps them. And then we will go into international standards. So national one, we will also cover US EPA program, which is GHGRP program. We will look into European Union emission trading scheme and Indian CCTS scheme. Now, CCTS, I will give you a reading material to read and come tomorrow with assignment. Um, Once that is finished, then we will go into carbon inventory, GHG inventory creation. We have a five-step model. Why we have five-step, how it helps, we will be talking about that. And then finally, we will look into some real world example. Today, we will be covering very interesting case of Microsoft, Tesla, and how they make money without doing anything. Let's start with what is carbon accounting. Now, how many of you recognize the person in center? Of course, you are very young, but still, if you have heard about him, he was a champion, as well as he was a US vice president at a time of presidency was in question mark. How many of you know Clinton, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky? Right? Very famous personalities. Still he remains. His wife still tries to find some escape, some ways inside the politics corridors, right? So he was the vice president. Al Gore was vice president of US and an environmental activist. And he also defined carbon accounting. And this is 25 years ago, 1990s, 1995. Now, first, let's understand the carbon accounting by three-step model. It is a process, right? It is a systemic process. Always remember accounting or any accounting, financial accounting, carbon accounting. It's always going to be a process rather than the outcome. Financial statement is the outcome of financial accounting. Similarly, carbon accounting report will be outcome of carbon accounting. So carbon accounting is a systemic process of what? Of measuring, tracking, reporting. Measuring, tracking, reporting of a company greenhouse gas emissions. Okay. And these emissions can come from direct sources, which is scope 1, or indirect sources, which will be scope 2 or 3. For example, burning fossil fuel for energy could be a scope 1. Indirect sources would be purchasing electricity from the grid will be indirect sources. Now, when it comes to Al Gore, he has given a quote that always understand carbon accounting like a financial statement of environment. Okay, like company operations financial statement shows you their financial achievement. Carbon accounting shows you there how much you have actually not achievement, how much of de-achievement you have done by polluting the environment. That's what it shows, right? That's how he talked about. It helps organization to understand their impact on the climate change, and then eventually they take action to reduce their emission. That's what he said. He was a of course, former US Vice President and environmental activist. How many of you watched his one of those documentary? Very famous one. He has done a very famous documentary. How many of you have watched it? चलिए ये सर्च करके everybody will find and share that in the cohort 10, right? Somebody will find that documentary. It's a very old one. Why you should watch that? That 20 years ago, what he was telling is truth today. And hence, if somebody talks about it, maybe in our lifetime, it will become truth. So be careful about such kind of statements and be aware about it eventually, right? So it's a very interesting documentary. You will not get bored, but if you have time, then only you can watch. So at least look into what kind of documentary was it. Last but not least, the institution which has developed the GHG protocol, greenhouse gas protocol, was WRI and WBCSD. Now, both of them has defined carbon accounting, which I have explained into three steps. That it is a systemic process for measuring and reporting a company greenhouse gases emissions. And it is a critical tool for organization to understand and manage their environmental impact. That is what WRI, which is World Resource Institute, has talked about it. In essence, please understand carbon accounting provides a transparent and a standardized way for organizations to assess their carbon footprint. And it also helps us to identify the opportunity where to reduce our environmental or climate impact. Okay, so it is not only a risk side of a mirror, but it also gives you opportunity at the same time where you can shine yourself. Now, why carbon accounting matter? Now you have to connect the climate change mitigation with the carbon accounting here. Carbon accounting is that crucial piece for understanding and addressing climate change, which everybody should learn and understand and deploy in their organization. Why? Because by accurately, and the accurately word is keyword here, measuring the emission, you can identify the area of reduction and contribute to the global effort to mitigate climate change. Clear? The role of this national GHG inventory is basically that country can report their greenhouse gas emissions to international bodies like United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, right? UNFCCC. This helps country to eventually track their progress towards the meeting their net zero targets or commitments which they have made under Paris Agreement. Yeah, and eventually understand the carbon accounting is for only one purpose. Purpose is very simple. Of course, it's defines, measure, track, this, that, but purpose is only one, is to make effort to reduce. That is why this document cannot be a static document. You see, every year you will be forced to publish after you publish first time. So once you created a baseline, people expect that next year onwards you will start reducing. And that's how climate change mitigation happens at the organization level. Now, regulatory compliances are also making it that you do not miss any reporting. If you are missing it, of course, right now, no regulatory authority has created a penalty for it, but eventually it will come in form of carbon tax or carbon credit as an incentive. That is what will happen in future. Now, Microsoft carbon neutrality is that case study which I wanted you guys to look into. What everybody will do is will download this report of 2024. 2025 yet not come, but it is in pipeline. Anytime they will be publishing it. Or if anybody can find 2025 report, please let me know. Microsoft Carbon Footprint Report, Sustainability Report, you have to download it. The reason is we will be using all across eight modules. So it is appearing now in module 2. Again, it will appear in module 4 and even module 7 and 8. So download it once for all. Make sure that you have a copy of it. What I am asking you to look at currently is the first three agenda, which is on the head of Satya Nadella as well as their sustainability officer. I don't remember her name now, but anybody who has downloaded the book can find that those two guys as well. What are the three key elements here which we need to know? The first one is they have created $1 billion climate innovation fund. Trust me, there are few companies from India who has got part of it, who are working on tech side. They are very open and giving to everyone. As long as your carbon accounting is accurate, of course, that's their purpose, and you are into climate tech area. Yeah, you are developing a technology, you have software, they have a fund, they will give you data center free, right? AWS, right? Azure, not is Azure and AWS, both are owned by, no, sorry, AWS is Amazon. Azure is owned by them. So they will give you access to that data center, etc., so that it will become free to you. They have $1 billion for innovation, which they have created. Why they have created, you will learn it slowly. Second, that removal of historical carbon emission by 2050 is one of those biggest tasks which Microsoft has committed to, and they are determined to achieve it. However, anybody who is seeing the graph down, I will take their opinion in a couple of minutes. So be ready, look into that graph, what is the legend, read it quickly. Meanwhile, I'm just completing it. Now, carbon negative by 2030 is going to happen. They have committed to it, and the graph again down shows exactly that progression. So the graph is up to 2030. So how they are achieving, you need to be observant on, and we'll be discussing on the same. So there will be discussion immediately after I complete this slide. Third, they have Microsoft have now a commitment which they say 100 Very interesting word. So they want to say they are saying 100% of energy they want to take from renewable energy. 100% of the consumption will happen by 2030 from renewable energy. Second, they want to do it 100% of the time, irrespective of which zone they are operating, time zone, they are in India, Europe, Americas, all that 100% of the time they want to rely on renewable energy only. So they do not want DG backups, which is very interesting. And the last but not least, they want to achieve zero carbon energy purchases. So they don't want to purchase any energy. So this is called their 100 program. Now, if everybody has observed the graph, I will be going one by one and try to understand what exactly they are understanding from the graph. Are they targeting right, wrong? Where are they in that process, etc. So let me go first to Karthik. Karthik, if you can unmute yourself. So Karthik, tell me, what do you understand by this graph? What are those lines suggest?
So there is a lot of, metric tons of CO2 that is available to be removed, and they've removed only like a very, whatever they have removed is not sufficient, and I don't think it is enough to mitigate all this.
Okay, okay, fine. Tell me, they are 2030 carbon negative. How they are achieving that? 2030 is the last bar, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you see they will have a carbon negative position there?
There is still some amount left, like around 5 metric tons of 5 million metric tons.
Okay, good. Thank you, Karthik. Let me go to Deepak now. Deepak, your observation on the graph, please, and what do you understand by it?
What's very striking about this graph is the green that I see, where uh, they are. You've already mentioned that they want to be carbon negative by 2030, and that's exactly what is depicted, or is that's what is shown in the graph. Uh, and I think you pretty much stressed on this $1 billion climate innovation fund, without which I think reaching this kind of a target is difficult.
Very good. Very good observation. Thank you. Let me go to Bhumika. Bhumika, what do you understand by the graph and what do you think? Where are they in the process of carbon neutrality?
So firstly, I will try to understand the graph first. So the Microsoft started emitting carbon emissions approximately around 1919, where they were not aware of the carbon emissions from the supply and supply chain and operations from 1995. Slowly, around 2012 or 13, they were reducing the carbon, avoiding the emission offsets, and by 2030, they target to go down. They target to achieve the net zero. But yes, the from the fact that they are using 100% of electricity consumption and 100% of the time from the renewable energy. But yes, the way, as explained earlier, $100 billion fund, how they are going to achieve is the question.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Okay, I'm not asking a different question, otherwise they will say why you are asking different question to different one. Let me go to Abhipsa. I hope I'm taking your name correctly. Tell me, Abhipsa, what do you think about this graph? You have to
Uh,
unmute. Yeah.
Hi. So they are talking about their emissions in two manners: supply chain carbon emission, and then they are talking about their operational emissions. And we see from 2010s they are talking about the avoided emission offsets, the carbon offsets they have purchased and all.
That's
After that, 2020 carbon removal. I don't understand how they are doing the carbon removal, but
good.
something about
Question.
carbon removal.
Very good
Some,
question. Very good question.
what is the carbon removal aspect of it? And yeah, carbon removal, their historical emission removal they are talking about. They are, I think, releasing.
Okay.
Yeah, so by 2030 they are just be carbon neutral, carbon negative. This is in what we say estimated timeline of it at the end of 2030.
Perfect.
Be
Perfect.
carbon negative. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good effort there. Thank you, Abhipsa. Let me go to now Dipankaji, if you can make your opinion on this.
Yeah, what I can see is from 2020, they are reducing the supply chain carbon emission. And while they start, you see the negative growth of this one, uh, negative growth of carbon net zero. So I think from 2020, they have reduced the emission in supply chain carbon emission. And for
Right.
that, this negative carbon is showing here.
Okay. Let me take three more people and then I will go straight away. Praveen.
Thank you, sir. So my first observation is from 1990 onwards. So Microsoft and its supply chain carbon emissions, they started tracking it, and they observed that the major component is with respect to their supply chain carbon emission release. So uh, and also they tracked their operational carbon emissions, but they noted that the significant it is not a significant component. From 2012 onwards, they started implementing carbon carbon reducing measures, and by 2020, they had noted that the Microsoft and its supply chain carbon emissions have reached to the peak, and they have to do something important about it. So they must have thought of investing $1 billion climate innovation fund, because without that, significant reduction won't be possible. And after that, uh, from 2020 onwards, with the help of uh, energy reduction measures, so they started reducing the carbon emissions. And from 2020 onwards, we can see from till 2025, they are getting benefits in terms of reducing the carbon. Uh, but again, their supply chain is is having a considerable amount of uh, carbon emissions. So they are so with the help of the innovations and 100% they are also increasing a renewable energy portion into their portfolio. And
How you know that?
overall,
How you know that? Sorry. How you know that they are using renewable energy?
so without renewable energy, meeting such kind of a target will not
Okay.
be possible.
I thought you were seeing somewhere. No worries. Okay, got it. Okay.
No. So carbon emission from renewable energy is zero.
Right.
So from that perspective, I have told. So by 2030, what their target will be to produce to reduce the carbon equivalent to the Microsoft and its supply chain carbon emissions, so that they achieve the target of neutrality or carbon negative.
Perfect. Okay. Good observation. Quite a detailed one, but fair. Let's go to now. Okay. Now my question will change. So whosoever Jackant. Okay. Jackant, tell me, they are claiming they want to go to net zero, but the graph which I am seeing is growing.
No, it is reducing. You can see that scope 1 and scope 2 emission have reduced. In fact, they have got in negative by
Very good.
using CCUS or whatever.
I liked your approach. You are saying scope 1 and 2, the dark lines, Microsoft operational carbon emission is going down since 2010. That's what you are observing, Jackant, right?
Yes.
If I tell you that it is a fluff, this is not right. What they are doing is their own activity, they are pushing to scope 3, where you are seeing the actual rise happening. You know, data centers, now they don't own.
Yeah, but the whatever the data center they have, they are almost 100% renewable energy.
Come on. Then why there is a scope 3 emission happening? Are you
Scope
with me?
3, scope 3 will be from their supply chain.
What is that supply chain? Tell me. There are two sides of supply chain. One is upstream, one is downstream, right? So one side I can understand purchase of goods and raw material. What kind of raw material they are purchasing? Vinith, you want to answer there? Everybody, now everybody can engage. Okay, it's open
Sir,
forum.
just wanted to add one, if I'm audible. I'm
Yeah,
audible, sir?
yeah.
Okay. So just wanted to add
Go on.
now after 2020, as we can see, after the peak of the scope 3 emissions, now I think they have started regulating their supply chain partners to mitigate or to be to target the carbon net zero targets, I think.
Okay.
And as the we see the green graph which is downward, so uh, it is a accumulation of supply chain carbon removal, operational carbon emissions. So as they are decreasing from upward, they are increasing in carbon removal. So what I have comprehended from this.
Okay. But my question remains unanswered. That
Sir, can I answer?
yeah, go ahead, Omkar.
Hardwares, chips, displays, all these
The raw
things they
material.
are so
That's the raw material, right? According to you.
exactly.
Correct. Now, if that is the raw material and that is the scope 3 emission, you know how much is it approximately? Of course, on the next slide, I will be showing you guys. It is around 30 to 34%, but half of it is their software development. How many of you agree to that? Their new apps, when you use it on your computer, use of sold product, there will be one emission, which is the consumption of electricity to run their apps. But when they produce it, that also is their emission in scope 3. How many of you understand that? When they produce it, they require a manpower to produce those software updates. You get update, right? Windows 11, Windows 10, then there is a patchwork. All that is their emission in scope 3. So it's not only the hardware. The hardware में कितना सेल करते हैं, you know, what is the market share? Anybody know what is the market share of Microsoft? Dell का market share compared to Microsoft market share, do you know what is the difference? 10 time का है. 10 time. So hardware is not the challenge for Microsoft. Microsoft का challenge उसका operating system है. Okay? Operating system which you are using. आपको लग रहा है आपने बाई कर दिया, उसका हेडेक चला गया। उसको बाई करने के बाद दो हेडेक है। फर्स्ट, यूज ऑफ सोल्ड प्रोडक्ट एंड एंड of the life emission in scope 3. All these are, we are talking about scope 3. So anybody who is not following, don't worry. Okay, we are going little deep because answers are coming little deep, but you need not to be worried. We will be learning scope 1, 2, 3, and what are those 15. But what we are discussing is simple, that Microsoft produces a software, it produces data centers which we use. Major emission is coming from those two sides. Constructing of those data center is their scope 3 emission, because middling material, racks, etc., steel based rack, etc., has lot of emissions. Okay, when we will go to next slide, we will be looking into, but let's just stay on this slide right now. And my question was very simple. And is my how many of you agree to my observation that they have pushed their emission of data center to the data center guys now by outsourcing it? How many of you agree? नहीं अग्री करते हैं तो सबने डाउनलोड ऑलरेडी, सॉरी, प्रवीण इज, प्रवीण, can you post in the cohort 10 that new published book? Yeah, just
Okay, 2025 version, sir.
yes, to 2025. That's the correct one. Post it there.
Okay, sir. Sending it.
Yeah. So everybody download it and read this part. That slowly they are moving out of the data center business. They do not want to do any data center business going forward. Yeah, that is how that you see scope 1 and 2 is reducing. You are thinking they are doing some magic there? Absolutely not. However, their campuses has reduced the energy consumption by 30 to 35% over a period of time. And that's why the dark blue line is gone down. But at the same time, you see there is a widened emission as well, which they are not doing and they have to account for, which is the bottom green line since 2010. There is a avoided emission offset, which they are doing. What does this mean? They are buying from outside, and all those green line which Abhipsa was asking about, that what is that, how they can what kind of carbon removal they can do. They can do three types of carbon removal. One, at the source itself. What is that? It's called carbon capture and utilization storage. These are the way you can reduce your emission. सबसे बढ़िया system उसमें है direct air capture, DAC. Remember this, put it into your notes. We will be addressing that very soon, right? DAC system, DAC. उस पे शायद मैंने बुक भी आप लोगों को एक दिया हुआ है, फ्लिप बुक, छोटा सा बुक है 12 पेज का. Just go through it. Okay, it's a part of the bonus material. So look into that, and then you will understand these are the carbon removal aspect, which in order to become carbon negative, they have to do it. To achieve that carbon negative, they have to do that. But it is a really far-fetched idea to become carbon negative by 2030, and that can be only possible, like Deepak was talking, that $1 billion somebody's really create a magic and bring it to the Microsoft, which they are expecting. Clear? Now, somebody was asking where, how, this is that graph. This is little dated data. This is 2023, means 2024 report, which I am citing now. What you will guys will be receiving in 2024, 2025 report. What is the difference between these two? Right now, 96.5. You will see there 97 point something. So their scope 3 emission is growing. What did I tell you? That their scope 3 will keep on increasing, not their scope 1 and 2, and even it will reduce because they are offsetting it. Anything which they used to own, now there is a company called Equinox. They are the champion in data center. So they are leasing from them. They are selling it to them and they are leasing it back from them. That way, it is not their scope 1 and 2 emission, which any government agency currently asks to get you rated. Clear? How many of you have understood that process? And that is what I'm little worried, that this is a kind of pushing your stuff to somebody else. And hence, reporting of scope 3 is important for these guys. Somebody is trying to ask. Karthik, you want to ask a question? And Praveen, yeah, go ahead, both of you.
Sir, my question is that scope 3 are related to indirect emissions.
Correct.
Right, sir? So even though I'm outsourcing it to Equinox or somebody X company who is on behalf of me, they are operating data centers, but they are doing it for me, sir, right? For Microsoft.
That is why it is called scope 3.
But
That is why it
yes,
has to be recorded in your total emission. Total emission
right,
is not a
right,
scope 1 and 2, is also 3.
right, correct. So that can't be neglected. That is what like I was saying. Even if it is outsourced to
It's
any
just
other.
it's a jugglery. Like in finance,
Mhm,
you have synonyms,
mhm,
right? That is stuffing. Have you
mhm,
heard that how fraud happens in inventory? By stuffing your material. Deepak relate kar rahe
mhm.
hote. You know Deepak, right? These kind of synonyms, financial synonyms which we do. Correct, Deepak? Deepak is there or he left? Okay, because he's a finance guy, so I'm just talking to him. So that is a process.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
Recently, Google, Microsoft, like these big companies have given what's a like fund to so many climate startups in India, like Mati Carbon, Baraha, and one more from Terra from South Africa. They got a very good chunk of amount, that in $1 million. So, why are they giving those funds to these companies? What is the main reason for that? They are into mainly for carbon credits.
So see what they are doing. FY 2030. Look at the screen. Look where from it is coming. That's a process of carbon removal, right? Biochar purchase किया मैंने तो मैंने carbon remove किया world से. That's the number.
Exactly.
So that's why they are investing in that. That is not a innovation they are investing, that they are investing in carbon credit. That's a separate discussion. It's not part of their tech fund. Tech fund is specific for
Okay.
technology. If you develop anything, you can go and ask them money. And if it is relevant to their area of expertise, they will give you. Clear? Next.
Okay.
I
But
guess
they have
Microsoft.
divided this also into 2 to 3 different type of structures. Like offsetting also, they have given it into two for biochar, direct air capture, and other type of offsettings.
Yeah, so of course, if look, they are investing in technology or technology related stuff, that's an
Mhm.
investment they must be doing through the climate tech fund. If they are buying
Okay.
the carbon credit, they are disclosing they are buying already in this year also 2024. Just can anybody check that number? 2024 में कितना बाई किया उन लोगों ने? यहाँ पे तो 2 मिलियन के आसपास दिखा रहा है, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 2 मिलियन भी नहीं, हार्डली 1 मिलियन, less than 1 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent they are buying. So my point, what's your question there, Vasisht?
Like the fund which they have created, 1 billion fund, are they using it for buying credits and offsetting all these things?
No, they should not be doing. Otherwise, it will become greenwashing because they
Okay.
are saying this fund is for
I
climate.
guess
Yeah, sorry, Omkar, you have some
I
under.
guess Microsoft is investing some $800 million in carbon capture
Yeah,
technology
CCUS unit. Those are the
from
investment.
2025.
Yeah, those are
So
the investment they will do rather than
that
giving.
must be from the same.
Absolutely possible, Omkar, possible. Means I'm not aware
Okay.
about, but definitely they are not. If they will use it for carbon credit purposes, it will become a greenwashing activity. आज नहीं समझ.
What if they give it as grants, sir?
They might be. They give this data center free of cost anyway. If you are a startup, Vasist, you have a startup, right? Means, of course, not yet certified. But if you get a startup license, they will give you data center for 3 years free. That itself is
Okay.
approximately something $100,000, which you get as a grant. If they enroll you, of course, there is a condition. But they are enrolling left, right, and center. What I understand, if your company is little bit tech oriented, they will give you that data center. Clear?
Okay. Yes.
Now, yeah, sorry. So how many of you understood that there are three places the major emission is coming? The first one is the raw material, which includes their software as well as hardware. It's not raw material is not always goods, it's also service. Okay, remember that it's a good and service in the raw material, which is a part of a scope 3, number one. It's a category number one. Category number two is capital goods. Now, capital goods for them could be laptops, supercomputers, chips, etc. But actual ones are building, which is emitting high intensive carbon dioxide. So that there you will find massive. So 34, 35, something like that in both areas are coming. What people are not observing is 11%. So the moment you press return button and it goes to next, they had a carbon emission. Are you with me? That is their massive as well. Compared to these two, of course, these two are required for their growth. But this one is not required for their growth. This one is required for their data consumption, right? Eventually, they get your data. The moment you click something, they get to know what you clicked. Of course, they are not doing that, but other company like Facebook's Meta are doing that, right? The moment you look here, you look there, look down, they observe everything and know you bottom up, that what exactly you are, who you are, and why you are here, right? They know everything. So that is, but Microsoft is not doing, but that's the advantage they have. They know your behavior, right? So you press a button and that emission is their responsibility. Clear? And that is what you have to look through. This was one of those examples I thought will help you to understand scope 1, 2, 3 before even I start talking about it. So let's start talking about the scope 1, 2, and 3, what exactly it is. And very good observation Praveen did, that he asked that scope 3 is equally like a scope 1 and 2. And that's the exact reality. World wants that you report a scope 3 because that emission has happened for you, because of you, right? I am doing it, but because of you, I am doing it. Are you with me? So greenhouse gas emissions are released into atmosphere as a result of human activity. Whatever we do, we are responsible for it. And that there the whole world is looking currently that let's reduce our emissions. All those seven gases, which are there in this graph on the top in cloud. You can see that, right? Carbon dioxide, SF6, CH4, N2O, HFCs, PFCs, and NF3. All those we are releasing, human related release has to be recorded. Accurate measurement here for reporting of these emissions are crucial for understanding the environmental impact, and taking effective action eventually will help my company to grow faster. There are three operational boundaries. The first one is direct emission. And the keyword I have already told you that it is owned or and both controlled sources. Either of these two or both. If you own them or you control them, in both cases, you are the emitter. And in that means that you are the scope 1 emitter. Yeah. Second one is scope 2, which is indirect emission from purchased electricity. And I have already given you those combination, right? Purchase plus energy. Energy means electricity, steaming, cooling, and heating. Clear? Can we have, can you can relate with that? That's the scope 2. Scope 2 and scope 3, both are indirect emission. Always remember, it's not in your own or controlled source. It will never come like that. If it is, then it is a captive unit and it is a part of scope 1. For example, captive coal-fired power plants. If you have a captive electricity which you are generating for burning coal, then that captive unit is also part of it. Steel factory, yeah, if they have their own thermal power plant or renewable energy power plant, captive unit, it will be scope 1, not a scope 2. Clear? So own and control will decide whether it is scope 1 or scope 2 and 3. Now scope 2, we have understood those combinations. Anything left in the supply chain is scope 3 emissions. Now quickly, scope 1 emissions can include on-site fuel combustion, which is natural gas, gasoline, anything which you require to run your stationary equipments, DJ set, generator, assembly line, conveyor belt, wherever you are using any fuel or even furnaces, all that will be part of on-site fuel combustion. Second is industrial processes, which is chemical reaction, right? Which is process emission, we say. What do you mean by that? So any reaction when it happened, we understood, right? If the molecule start reacting faster, it emits its own heat, and that emission is your process emission. Sometime even pent interacting with the sun, yeah, it gets released in atmosphere, becomes your scope 1 emission. So all processes, if specifically in chemical sector, it's more relevant. Then comes the transportation, which is mobile combustion, right? So company owned vehicle, it could be truck, crane, vehicles which you are using to even bringing your employees to your office or sending them back to home. All that will be part of your mobile combustion or transportation. And then the last but not least is fugitive. Fugitive emissions are those emissions under scope 1 where there is a leak happening. Where there is a leak happening, you have to understand such kind of emission will be recorded under. Best example is refrigerators, air conditioners, and even centralized HVAC systems. Right? All those emissions are part of fugitive emissions. Next, scope 2 indirect emission from the purchased electricity. Now, emission that occurs directly from sources owned or controlled by an organization will be scope 2 emission. Sorry, here I think it's a repeated slide. Scope 2 emissions are those emissions which are combination of energy plus purchase. So if you purchase any energy for running your company, which is again, it is generated for your company, that much electricity, and that's why it is a part of scope 2 emission because it is little further away from you. You do not own it. So we say it is a scope 2 emission, but that doesn't mean that that is not your emission. It is your emission. This electricity was generated for you and you consumed it. Hence, it is your responsibility and it comes under scope 2 emission. The last but not least is other indirect emissions, which are apart from electricity, which can be, we have already learned, 8 are on upstream and 7 are on downstream. So anything, sorry.
Sir, in the previous slide, scope 2 emissions.
No, there is a wrong. That slide was wrong. The slide is wrong. The text.
Sir, in the below mentioned icons, so transmission of electricity and distribution of electricity is I have seen in some of the reference guides. So, sir, in some reference guides, they have included transmission and distribution of electricity in scope 3. In some, they have considered in scope 2. So, what is the final conclusion, sir? It is a part of scope 2 or scope 3 with respect to transmission and distribution of electricity?
It depends. The losses, look, there are three parts, not only what is transmission? There are two parts to transmission. One is the infrastructure which you create for the transmission, which is a capital good anyway. So for
Yes, sir.
electricity company, it is a scope 3. Capital good. This is scope 3. It
Yes,
will
sir.
come
Scope
into
3.
their purchase of whenever they have purchased, that time emission has happened. Now, there is a part which relates to the loss of electricity in the transmission.
Yes.
Okay. Now, which company you are calculating this emission for will be decided where it will fall. For
Commercial office, for example, Microsoft.
yeah, so I'm giving you example. Let's take Microsoft. Okay. Microsoft
Yes.
is having an office and they are purchasing electricity from the grid. Now, is that grid is only coming for them? No, absolutely not, right? In that building, there will be 20 more offices, or in that area, there will be thousands of offices. So everything is coming for 1,000. And then when it is reaching to him, is part of the electricity bill. The losses which has happened to reach the electricity to him will be distributed to all 1,000 people in that locality.
Right.
Hence, location-based emissions calculate this part. The loss of power which has happened from sending of the power plant to your place is accounted by the producing company, the discom. They count it. They put it into your bill and send it to you. Or did they take that load on themselves? मान लो हमें मालूम है 20% ऑफ लॉस हैपेंस व्हेन इट स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम पावर प्लांट एंड रीचेस टू माइक्रोसॉफ्ट.
Yes, sir. For generating 1 unit of electricity, no, for receiving 1 unit of electricity, receiving at the consumer end, so 3 units of electricity gets wasted.
30% you are saying. So I was saying
Yes, sir.
20%. You are saying 30% is wasted.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
is this guy is responsible for that loss? Microsoft alone?
No.
No, it is also the transmission system. If the transmission system was very next to him, is
Mm-hmm.
responsible? Absolutely not. So that you cannot assure, and hence a scope 2 and 3 debate comes here. Now, once you have understood a scope 2 and 3 debate, let's understand how company accounts for it. So the accounting happens very simple in location based. Location based data is generated by CEA, that you are aware.
Yes, sir.
Once they generate, how they calculate? They take the that thermal power plants data, that how much emission directly they have done, scope 1. Then when they are transmitting it to the client, to the people, general people, how much of loss has happened, that 30% they account it into the system. Why? Even you take the spend based method, you think that company leave this 30% on their own?
No, no, they will not.
वो बिल कर देते हैं उनको, सामने वाले को.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yes,
how
sir.
the unit prices are decided by the government,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
right?
sir.
Unit prices are based on all these losses consider. And that's why any improvement in the grid helps the government. बिकॉज सब्सिडी कम देनी पड़ती है फिर डिस्कॉम को या पावर प्लांट को.
Right, sir.
एंड देयर बाय दिस इज देयर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इंस्टेड ऑफ द थर्ड पार्टी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. थर्ड पार्टी में एक आप जब जाओगे, अभी नहीं दिखेगा, स्कोप 3 में व्हेन वी विल स्टार्ट, देयर इज वन पॉइंट वेयर यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कैटेगरी नंबर 3, where fuel or energy related emissions are there, which
Right.
will be applied to the energy power plant companies. Okay, we will be
Mm.
discussing about them, and that case is the third emission, and that doesn't mean it is a transmission loss emission. Transmission loss is already billed to the client, and hence it is the scope 2 emission only we are talking about, because CAA data accommodates it. ठीक है,
Got it, sir.
नहीं लेते.
Got it.
एक कंडीशन है जहां पे आप देखोगे कि कुछ लोग स्कोप 3 में डाल रहे हैं, और वो कंडीशन ये है कि यू आर अलोन इन दैट एरिया, एक रिमोट हाउस है
Mm-hmm.
असम में, टॉप एरिया में, उनके लिए लाइन बिछाई गई है.
Okay, sir.
इज कमिटेड टू गिव इट टू द लास्ट पर्सन, लास्ट माइल पर्सन तक पहुंचाएंगे वो. अब
Mm-hmm.
आप ये बताओ, उसके पास लाइन पहुंचाई उन्होंने, लॉस उसमें भी 3 यूनिट का है. मतलब 3
Mm.
यूनिट नहीं है, आई थिंक 30% है. 3 यूनिट यू आर सेइंग टू मच, राइट? एवरी 10 यूनिट 3 यूनिट यू मस्ट बी सेइंग.
No, no, sir. Sir, actually 4 units are generated. 1 unit reaches to the
So 75
end.
you are telling me.
Sir,
That's
then 2 units. 2 units are lost,
मुझे
not
नहीं
three
मालूम
then.
है, 22% का ऑन एन एवरेज है, बट आई
Mm-hmm.
द डेटा, सो आई विल नॉट कमेंट ऑन इट, एंड यू आर द गाय हु.
Mm.
So my point is, if I am sending now to this remote guy, one village में एक ही हाउस है, 100 फैमिली मेंबर,
Mm-hmm.
एनर्जी तो कंज्यूम होगा ना. है, ऐसा है इंडिया में. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो देयर इज वन फैमिली which lives in somewhere Arunachal Pradesh or somewhere which is a remote area, and he has a family, big family, मतलब कुछ 100 200 पीपल है उनके घर में. सो उनको एनर्जी तो लगती है. अब नाउ फॉर हिम, इफ somebody is generating the energy and sending it to him, can he account that losses on his bill? डिस्पैरिटी हो जाएगी ना. वो लोग क्या करते हैं, लाइन
Mm-hmm.
बिछाने का कॉस्ट ले लेते हैं आपसे, एक हेवी अमाउंट ले लेते हैं. मतलब इवन फॉर इंडस्ट्रियल, इफ यू आर लिटिल बिट ऑन द आउटर स्कर्ट and you need electricity connection, you have to apply for it, and whatever line they will extend, they will charge for it. They generally charge for it. Okay, so यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा 3 वाला कंसेप्ट आता है कि मैं ये अमाउंट जो मेरे पे एक्स्ट्रा आ रहा है, रियल अमाउंट तो है नहीं ना, मार्केट में कंपेयर नहीं कर सकता हूं मैं इस अमाउंट को, and
Yes, sir.
in that case extra amount I can put it in a scope 3, but generally in normal cases like Microsoft you can't do that. Clear?
Clear,
जिनको नहीं
sir.
समझ में आया, don't get bother. Yeah, little bit it is deeper, we will understand when we will go to scope 3. So जिनको नहीं मालूम है उनके लिए बोल रहा हूँ, जिनको मालूम है, then you have learned something really. How many of you found out very interesting? तो समझ में आ जाएगा. Yes, no, of course, Praveen, you asked the question, but the problem is others should not suffer. How many of you find it interesting? Such kind of questions. Okay, so Divankar is okay. Okay, the Karthik find it fine. Omkar is comfortable. Okay. किसको बोरिंग लगा है वो बता दो भाई. डाउन कर दो चलो. Put a down sign. Yeah, nobody is saying that. Good to know that. Deepak, we were searching for you when we were talking about
Yeah.
finance related stuff. Yeah, tell me, you have a question?
Will you be covering what scope to market-based and location-based scope
Yes,
2
I will
is later?
define it. Of course, in
Okay,
India, there is no
sure.
market-based data, and the reason is not everybody is on the renewable energy. Okay, that's the reason, but I will be definitely defining it.
Sure.
Make sense? Does it help?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Sir,
yes, please.
so I have a doubt regarding
Karthik,
this
yes, go
fuel
ahead.
purchase.
Tell me.
So let us say I have an organization and I buy a large volume of fuel, like diesel, petrol, for running vehicles in my organization.
Right.
So buying that will come in scope 2, right?
Why you think so? Buying?
Like, which is similar to purchasing electricity for consumption.
Ah, very good. Very good. That's a very good confusion, by the way. If that is the confusion, very good confusion. You are telling me that purchase and energy combination may fit बैठता है. That's what you are telling me, Karthik, aren't you?
Yes,
You
sir.
are saying I'm purchasing energy to run my DG set.
Yeah.
यहाँ पे आता है एक वर्ड कॉल्ड ऑपरेशन. ऑपरेशन किसका है, कार्तिक?
So,
Do you own that operation or do you lease that operation? That's the
so I buy
DG सेट में
petrol.
like let's stop for a minute. DG सेट में यूज हो रहा है. कंजम्पशन कहाँ हो रही है? उस फ्यूल जो आप परचेज किए, फ्यूल जब लेके आया तो स्कोप 2 है. मैं अग्री कर लेता हूँ, चलो मैं अग्री करता हूँ कि ये परचेज है, एनर्जी है. आई अग्रीड इट इज स्कोप 2, बट नाउ आई एम ब्रिंगिंग इन साइड माई कंपनी एंड बर्निंग इट. बर्निंग इट जब लेके आ रहे थे तो बर्न किए क्या आप?
No.
एनी इमिशन हैपेंड? थोड़ा लॉस होता है, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन लॉस होता है, ऐसा नहीं कि इमिशन नहीं होती है, थोड़ी होती है. बट डिड आई बर्न इट देयर? आई डिडंट बर्न इट देयर. So I recorded a data that I purchased it, and then I burned it. The moment I burn it, then it is my emission. And this is operation emission, happens to be from purchase fuel. तो आप स्कोप 2 में अब काउंट करोगे कि स्कोप 1 में काउंट करोगे, दैट्स योर डिसीजन.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where to count.
Okay, as you are not sure. Okay, again, let me try once more. You want to account it 2 time or 1 time? First, that is the question.
I should account it
करनी
only
है
once.
क्या? 1 time, right? 1 time.
Yes.
Okay. Now my question is, emission हुआ कहाँ? Try to understand, Karthik, where you have emitted carbon dioxide or equivalents.
So I'm emitting only when I'm burning.
Burning it. So hence you have to look into, does this burning happens on the ground in my premises, in my operational boundary, or is it happening outside of my operational boundary? जब हम परचेज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी की बात कर रहे हैं तो परचेज तो मैंने किया इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, लेकिन बर्निंग कहाँ हो रही है? इज इट इन माई प्रीमाइस? नहीं ना, ये थर्मल पावर प्लांट में हो रही है. सॉरी, इफ यू आर नॉट फॉलोइंग इंग्लिश, आई विल बी
No, yeah, I
सॉरी हिंदी,
understand.
देन आई विल बी इन इंग्लिश ओनली. So you are following it, right? What I'm
Yeah,
asking. The
yes.
burning is happening in thermal power plant, isn't it?
Yes.
And then they are sending me electricity, and because they have sent me electricity, I need those electricity. Hence that purchase of power or purchase of energy, because it is not born in my premise, it is not born on my equipment, it is not born on my operation, it is happening in somebody else's operation, it is a scope 2 emission. Does that help you to understand and get your concept clarified?
Yes, sir. But thing is, like, we buy a larger volume and we burn a little. So
No,
how do
come
we?
again. Larger volume means what?
Uh,
पूरे साल का लेके आया ना आप, तो कैलकुलेशन
yeah,
साल का
yeah.
करोगे ना. पूरे साल का ही लेके आओ, ऐसा थोड़ी है कि 20 साल का एक ही बार लेके रख लेते हो. Do you buy
No,
for 20 years? Absolutely not. You might
yeah.
be buying for 2 years, say. You think
Yeah.
that prices will go up, you are a smart chap, you will buy for 2 years and bring it. Burning कब हो रही है और कहाँ हो रही है, that will decide the emission.
Okay.
And very good question, by the way, don't feel shy about it. If this is your confusion, I think you are going in right direction. That operation part is critical here. And ये clarify होगा when I will go to category number 4 of scope 3. Same question will come, Karthik. If I have not explained you here clearly, there is one more stuff called waste from operation. तो यहाँ पे मैंने क्या बोला था, ऑपरेशन में अगर इमिशन हो रहा है तो क्या होता है, स्कोप 1. वहां पे जाऊंगा, बोलूंगा कि ऑपरेशन से वेस्ट निकल रहा है, उसका इमिशन इज नॉट माय इमिशन.
Vivek, I want to intervene.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, probably Karthik has some valid point in this, because while producing petrol,
Right.
processing the petrol, there is an emission. So how can we explain
Processing
that?
of the petrol, you are talking about the refinery. You are talking about refinery, right? Or extraction. Which one you are talking about? Dipankar ji, sorry. You are on mute.
Okay, purchasing petrol means I am adding to a emission to refinery. Okay. Did you get my point?
No, actually,
burning petrol in my campus or in my territory is my emission, but the point from where I'm purchasing the petrol is also emitting.
Correct. I agree with you. And that emission,
will it be a scope 2 or scope 1?
This will be a scope 3. It will be a scope 3. Energy, that is what I said just couple of minutes back. Third number category in scope 3 is exactly that one, Dipankar ji. Energy used to produce energy is that energy which accounted there. Are you with me? So it is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, I have another similar question.
Yes, please, Omkar, go ahead.
So, when renewable energy is installed, suppose solar panels.
Yes.
Now, emissions for manufacturing of solar panels, how do we consider that?
Capital goods.
Is it scope 3?
Capital goods, scope 3. Okay. Very good questions. Nice. Let me go to Amit.
Yeah. Coming to the Karthik questions, basically, referring to that, whenever you are purchasing a extra fuel, suppose for the 2 years, but consuming only for this year, maybe half or the 1/3. So what quantity will be reporting for this year and the next year, like that?
You are asking the question, yeah? So this year you will only report what you have consumed. You cannot report for future, right? वो बेच देगा कल. ये बड़ा smart. Karthik is a smart person. He brought it 3 year, नहीं 20 year worth of petrol accounted on the first year, and then he will sell 19-year stock because the prices has gone up. will he not do? He will get two benefits. आज इसको कार्बन इमिशन का एक बड़ा नंबर मिल गया. Of course, company will be lamented, but next year onwards there will be no emission for 20 years, and exactly he will be getting money benefit as well. So he is a good businessman, I must tell you, right? But you will be recording in scope 1 the portion which you have consumed, only that much. That's why consumption is the word, not the purchase in scope 1. Whenever we talk about scope 1, we talk combustion या consumption. We never say that how much you purchased. इसीलिए spend based method sometimes is misleading, because people take these slips and record the data and they will finish in 2 days, and then the company will be caught tomorrow. Are you with me? A lot of forgery can happen here, and already world is seeing for 20 years, so they know where it is happening. Okay. Does that answer everybody's question?
So buying of fuel will be part of scope 1, sir? Please confirm.
Buying नहीं है, फिर से समझिए, combustion है.
हाँ, consumption है सर.
Consumption,
Correct,
combustion,
correct.
stationary combustion, mobile combustion, fugitive emissions, right? And process.
Correct, sir.
तो वर्ड ही आपको डिफाइन कर देगा. आपको मग अप करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है मेरे क्लास में. डोंट मग अप एनीथिंग, डोंट कम टू मग अप. सब कुछ एक्सप्लेन किया जाएगा. आस्क द क्वेश्चन. इफ यू आस्क द राइट क्वेश्चन, यू विल गेट अ बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. सो आई एम लविंग दिस क्लास. थैंक यू for asking
So
such.
just one small question, Deepak
Please,
here.
Deepak, go ahead.
If there is loss of fuel due to evaporation, now this is not due to combustion, but mainly due to probably handling
Right,
fuel. So if there is some level of evaporation,
right.
now will you consider that as fugitive emission? Because it's
Uh,
not emission as such, but because it's not burnt or used. So do you account that in GHG?
you should account that. You should account that, but there is a little blur line right now. There is no guidelines to it. However, the only guidelines is this should be a scope 3 emission. Yeah, Amit, if you have something there.
Yeah. Adding to that, basically, uh, coming from the ISO 14064, they have a uncertainty range. If your emission is within the 5% of the uncertainty, then you can exclude from your reporting part. But if it is within the significant level, then you have to report. You have to judge that portion of the certainty that it will impact your future reporting that you have to consider.
Yeah, so this is a blur part which I'm talking about. Yeah, there is no specific guidelines, but ISO 14064 does provide a guideline which I'm not expert in. Okay. GHG
Thank you,
they
Amit.
put it in miscellaneous emissions and close the total emissions. Now, this is the part where we are talking about Microsoft once again. Try to understand its journey towards carbon negativity, right? And if now you have in front of you 2024 number, what you will see that this year in 2024 they have reduced the emissions. Can anybody check that? Total emission literally they have reduced.
Yes.
How many of you can check that?
Yes, it's marginal.
Marginal, but of course reduction, you see the last 5 year, except 2022, every year it has grown. And even in the time of Corona, it has grown. Of course, at the time of the Corona, we know it shoots up because of the people using Teams, people are using their database, everybody is working from home, even their employees working from home. So they had a massive number there. But 21, 22 is a normalized number. That 23 had jumped, and then there is a marginal reduction in 2024. And that shows that, and if you check their financials, it's still growing. So business as usual, it has a growth, which you have to understand. Now, business as usual. Anybody, how many of you understand business as usual case? नहीं. अच्छा, अमित को मालूम है. चलिए अमित बताइए, आप बताइए.
Basically, whatever you are doing currently, you have to continue that effort and growing your business. Kind of linear progression is happening in your system.
Okay. So business as usual is similar to that. Just part you remember, the growth trajectory will be taken from last 3 years. नंबर आपको निकालना पड़ता है. बाय द वे, अभी हम लोग नेट जीरो करने जा रहे हैं. दैट्स व्हाई आई एम गिविंग यू दैट फील. Business as usual is used in net zero calculations. So what is business as usual? That trajectory which you have predicted in your business plan, at least for last 3 years data. If I'm an outsider and I'm auditing it, then last 3 year data. Inside people use their business plan. And they say that, okay, business plan may we have said we'll be growing to a level from $5 trillion to $10 trillion in 5 years time, doubling my revenue. Now that is their business as usual, which will be 20% growth every year. Are you with me? What does this mean? That even carbon emission can follow the similar trajectory. That is called BAU emission factors. So there is no specific number. It's decided by two sides. One as an outsider, so what auditor will think, and one from inside. And for that projection, for prediction, what forecast if you are doing, you take last 3 year data. Very important point, put it into your notes. कोई नहीं बताएगा ये. Business as usual, calculate कैसे करते हैं. Right? And that is very important for SBTI because SBTI people come and check you here and then immediately understand you are creating a fluff and they will not give you the certificate. Clear? So be cautious. Now, if you see their business as usual, they are growing aggressively. Under Satya Nadella, this company has not come into profit only, but also has broken all the records in terms of profitability as well as the growth. And hence, their total emission is following that path as usual. Why there was a drop in FY22? People say they have shifted maximum amount of emission to the third party. Outsource करना चालू किए ये लोग, जो कि Praveen has an observation that this is not correct. And somebody has given an opinion piece that carbon credit is totally not valid. So these are those debates which we should have. These are healthy debates. We should have it. And then only learning will happen. Nobody is on right or wrong side. But there is a process which need to be improvised. And that's what is happening. You, me discussing about it. Actually, we are indicating to the process makers that improvise. Clear? And hence, total emission is where your focus should be, not only to scope 1 and 2. Otherwise, you will be always misguided because there was a drop. You will think they have dropped it because they did something big. Absolutely not. 2023 shows you. Bhumika, you are reading those graphs, right? Actually, see this graph suggests that or not. Otherwise, why there is a jump? The jump has happened because that was not a stable reduction. That was not a stable reduction. And hence, we have to understand and always look for their revenue. That is why you see all the majors in compliance related reporting in ESG talks about PPP first, purchase power parity, and second, it always take into account of the revenue. How many of you have observed that? किन 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 लोगों ने देखा है कि जो भी पैरामीटर्स क्वेश्चंस हैं, BRSR, CSRD, all are linked to your revenue. How many of you have seen that or know
That
it?
is intensity, right?
इंटेंसिटी बोलते हैं उसको. व्हाट इज द कार्बन इंटेंसिटी? वेटेड एवरेज कार्बन इंटेंसिटी बोलते हैं अगर डेट में कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं, सॉरी इक्विटी का कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं. डेट में करेंगे तो सॉवरेन डेट को हम लोग एट्रीब्यूशन करा देते हैं. कार्बन का एट्रीब्यूशन पर प्रोजेक्ट पे हो जाता है. नाउ हियर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट नंबर. Always be careful about it. That revenue has to be looked along with the carbon release. And if then also number comes down, then it makes sense that these guys are reducing it. That is why Government of India asks you that, tell me what is the reduction in terms of revenue. They will ask you the intensity. Clear? There's a little again out of scope, but I thought you guys should be knowing.
I think this again relates from a country level, it relates to the concepts you spoke about yesterday, GDP and GVA, the intensity that we look at a country level.
Absolutely. Based on the GDP itself, and that's why India is still far away in the carbon emission cycle. You are right. Good. Relate. I like it. Good job done, Deepak. That's how you should read. Now you will never forget because you have linked two topics together. एग्जाम के समय में क्या होता है, एक ही साथ सारा चैप्टर पढ़ते हैं हम लोग, सब लिंक हो जाता है, याद आ जाता है, कोई भी क्वेश्चन कोई पूछ ले. Right? That is what we do not do when we do the workshop. So good job done there. Try to link all the subjects together so it will remain there forever. Now, coming back to let's take some 10 questions, okay? What percentage Microsoft has now? Don't look into 2024 data. Whatever I have shown, based on that, I'm asking question. So if you go wrong, it's a trivial question. It's okay. Don't worry. Put the answer in chat box. What was the percentage reduction has Microsoft achieved in scope 1 and emission as FY23 from its 2020 baseline? अब इसको छोड़ देते हैं, आप लोग पढ़ो, कल इसको करेंगे. This quiz we will do it tomorrow because you have not read it. And actually, I was supposed to send you this Microsoft ka report. So it's my mistake. I have not sent. We will do this quiz tomorrow. So you won't be able to answer. And let me update it for 2024. So you read 2024, we will have a question on 2024 data. Now, let's start understanding those GHG accounting framework which are applied to specific nations. So how a specific nation takes into it. And we are considering three countries. One is US, the naysayer. One is European Union, which is yesayer. And one is Indian system, which is naysayer. Right? We are not industrial. We don't know which path to follow. But Government of India has already put BRSR into play. Let's start looking into that US system. Now, US has a system which has come through EPA greenhouse gas reporting program. That greenhouse gas reporting program of Environmental Protection Agency of USA, which is a government entity, which was established in 2009, has created a GHGRP program. And we are going to talk about here one of the most pivotal tool in United States today, which they are using to track or tackling their climate accountability. Even though you are hearing Trump doesn't want it, a lot of people are not interacting today. Are they getting bored or something is going beyond their scope? I can see Sneha has not started camera at all. He is pissed off with the class. Govardhan is not starting at all. And he is using iPad. iPad का camera नहीं चल रहा है. That's a rare Govardhan. Vasist is traveling. I understand he's always traveling. So any reason, just let me know. I do not want you guys to be left off. Naveen has started. He has closed now. Pankaj came late. Correct, Pankaj?
Right, sir.
Okay. And you're tired too, isn't it? I hope Avipsa is there, but she is not speaking. Naveen, your camera is not working now. Fair. Start kariye, then I can ask you question. Otherwise, I will not see you, and when I don't see you, I don't ask you. It's a normal tendency of human beings, so you have to excuse me. Now, let's start talking about the most pivotal tool which United States is using currently to tackle their carbon accountability. Now, EPA Greenhouse Gas Reporting Program, or GHGRP, was established in 2009 by US Environmental Protection Agency. This is a game changer for them, and there is a reason behind it. It requires the biggest source of emitters, greenhouse gas emitters, from power plants to oil rigs to factory, which are the largest emitter, open their books. Environmental Protection Agency of US forced them to open their books and report what they are putting into our atmosphere every year. They have to disclose that under GHGRP program. The scope is really impressive here because it covers a wide array of sectors that are central to US economy currently. Yeah, it's a mandatory requirement, first of all. If and only if, and again it will go in your notes, if that company is emitting more than 25,000 metric tons or more of carbon dioxide equivalent. Not only carbon dioxide equivalent annually. So any company which is emitting beyond this threshold has to report and tell people that what exactly they are doing. Now, what makes this program powerful is clarity and rigor. Why this program became successful? Because it follows quality and rigor. Any facility which is emitting beyond this threshold has to think about an emission which is equivalent to 5,000 cars. So that one company is emitting more than the 5,000 cars on the road which are running on petrol or diesel. They say gas. In US, they say gas. Are you understanding why it is important? 25,000 metric tons or more of carbon dioxide equivalent is equal to 5,000 cars emitting carbon dioxide in atmosphere in a year. So that you report and let people know. But this isn't just a paperwork, okay? Don't think that this is just a reporting and you forget it. Actually, GHGRP program feeds into EPA data system as well, which you receive and get happy, right? चलो पैसे स्पेंड बेस्ट के लिए बेस्ट हमारे पास डेटा आ गया, ईपीए का डेटा आ गया. कहां से आ रहा है? उनके सिस्टम से आ रहा है. And actually, it enables EPA to bring smarter regulations and fueling the transparency. And eventually, now you are hearing SEC, which is their, Security Exchange Commission, which controls their share market, right? It's a regulator in USA. ACC has brought CDR. That's like BRSR. They have a CDR, government induced system. Clear? So that's how this system has enabled government of United States of America to bring rigor, clarity, transparency, and eventual reduction. And that comes into the impact. So what's the big picture impact here is the corporate accountability engine has been created by GHGRP program. When big emitters know their data will be made public, the pressure on cleaning up grows faster. And US has done this in past. Tomorrow we will be doing a short story in the beginning that will be about one of the achievement which US has done. Well, world was not even knowing it, they can achieve it. So if they want, they can really change the picture. And that's why everybody wants, even Paris Agreement wanted him, everybody wanted them to sign the cleaner program, because once they decide, they are they are running the world, right? Eventually, at least on the better side. Bad side also currently, they are fueling some war, which I don't like. War never gives anything to anyone, even sometime not the peace which people expect. Yeah, war never leads you anywhere. So I'm not a proponent of war. A lot of people love it. They have their own opinion to that. So in short, the GHGRP transformation, emission from invisible pollutants into visible data, and visibility is what drive the action. विजिबिलिटी आप लाएंगे, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कंपनी के ऊपर डालेंगे, रिजल्ट विल बी मैसिव. हाउ आई नो बाय दिस स्टडी. European Union emission trading system has proven it. Tomorrow, you will be getting a reading material on the same. And that not a small amount, massive amount of impact they have shown. And there is a study by OECD, which I will be sharing tomorrow, right? Where they have shown that what is the impact of such kind of system. European emission trading system, in short, ETS, you will be hearing all the time. Let me take back you to year 2005. When Europe made climate history. This is one of those historical part in environmental side, which everybody should be knowing. They launched world first major carbon market, European Union emission trading system. This wasn't a policy for them. It was a revolution in a kind. Why? Because they incentivize the whole system. So a lot of people doesn't like carbon credit, but this is one of those incentive carbon credit system which has enabled the world towards betterment. At least OECD country has found out that be happening. Even in phase one, they have got results, which was between 2005 to 10 years, which was 2014. ETS became a cornerstone of European Union climate policy, and trust me, because of that, today European Union has the best of the best regulation possible, and they are able to implement it as well. Sometimes they are taking it back, which is a recent time must have seen dilution of CSRD, bringing omnibus and reducing the scope of omnibus when the new draft came in. All that is happening. But trust me, European Union has stopped because major player has taken their hand back, which is United States of America. Nobody wants to do extra cost effort, but that doesn't mean they cannot come back with their strength. Okay, they have taken this simple but bold step at that point in time when they introduce cap and trade mechanism for total greenhouse gas emissions across all 27 member states. Now there is 29, two are in the gray area. Clear? All 29 countries joined hand together and they have accepted cap and trade mechanism. Now my question is, a lot of you must be knowing it, but who doesn't know, raise your hand. So I will be little careful when I'm explaining. And if everybody knows, then I have a speed. So raise your hand if you do not understand cap and trade mechanism. Anyway, I will be explaining, but I will be explaining little bit the depth if I know few people doesn't know. So सबको आता है, right? अच्छा चलिए, एक आदमी है जिन्होंने अपना हाथ तो खड़ा कर दिया, आता है नहीं आता है, but let me be supporting a better explanation. Okay, fine. So I will make sure that you understand it very clearly. Okay. Now cap. Okay, Bhumika also raised the hand. Fair. Capping the total greenhouse gas emission across member states and allow companies, Praveen also, okay, allow companies to trade the right to pollute. Nitya also, okay, no problem. In other words, if you emit less, you can profit by selling unused carbon allowances which you have. So cap and trade mechanism is very simple mechanism. What it means, very simple means what? What government does is, or in this case, EU ETS system does it. It tells that same like GHGRP program, certain industry, it will tell. Even in India, now it is 56 companies they have allowed, 56 different sites of businesses they have allowed, and 9 sectors they have allowed. You will be getting a material to read that. So tomorrow again, 6 material will be given for you to read, and maybe even Microsoft ka report. Microsoft, everybody has downloaded, so we will not be giving. So they have what they do, they select a sector which are the largest emitter currently in India, or India has a focus to them. Either of these two cases. In Europe, Europe also has a focus to certain industry. In that industry, what they do, they take a median line, not mean, not mode. You understand, right? Median mode. Suna to hoga hi, right? So median line they take. They take a line and say that this is the allowance I am keeping based on my statistical study or reporting which they have seen in couple of years. European Union, when they created this cap and trade mechanism, they took a threshold line. What is that threshold line? They said that this is the line beyond which if you emit, then you are emitting more than the industry. And also understand here, it is again per unit of production of that business or per $1 million of revenue. It's again based on certain parameters. It is not that a large company will, of course, emit large. For example, Tata will always emit large amount of carbon dioxide compared to another company which is much smaller than them. But that is not the parameter. Parameter is if, for example, cement industry, if Wholesale is producing 2 bags of cement, right, which we receive to construct house, how much of carbon dioxide they are emitting? 2 bags means 100 kg, right? You know that 50 kg का एक बैग आता है और उससे भी छोटा आ गया है क्या market में it's 50 kg, right? Generally it is 50 kg. So 100 kg of or 1 ton of 1000 kg is 1 ton. 1 quintal of cement, how much of carbon dioxide in terms of CO2 equivalent they will emit? There will be a threshold put which is called cap. कैप समझ में आ गया सबको? कैप लगा दिया, इसके ऊपर आप नहीं देख सकते हो. घोड़े को इधर से ये लगाते हैं, क्या बोलते हैं उसको? What they say? And they can't see right and left, he will go straight. Similarly, when you put a cap, you say that this is the industry threshold. Everybody, if they are producing 100 kg of cement, they should be emitting 1 ton of carbon dioxide. If somebody is really bad, his process is not efficient, he has a very rusty machinery, right? His wastage is too much. Then what will happen? Scope 3 में emission होगा, scope 1 में होगा, 2 में होगा, and his emission will be 2 tons. His emission will be 1 ton extra. Now he is in problem. What he has to do, he has to buy from somebody. And now there will be some innovative companies which will bring enough expertise that they will not even emit half tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. उसके पास आधा टन का अलाउंस बच गया. Can you understand? 1 ton is threshold. He is doing half ton. Somebody is doing 1.5 ton. What is simple calculation here? This half ton will be sold to this guy who has emitted extra. He has to buy it. And he has to buy in a market called European Emission Trading System Market. कितने लोगों को समझ में आ गया मार्केट में क्या हो रहा है? The guy who has an extra allowance left with him because his systems are efficient, he will sell in the market. The guy whose system is rustic, he is unable to improve, he doesn't achieve his economy of scale, he will be doing extra emission and he has to buy from the market, right? And the market will decide what will be the price. Same like a stock market, if you have heard ever. How many of you do stock market? थोड़ा बहुत investment करते हो? 1, 2, पुट यस और थम्स अप क्योंकि फिर वो मुझे रन करना पड़ता है. नित्या डज इट, ओके, गोवर्धन डज इट, पंकज डज इट, राइट? सो स्टॉक मार्केट में प्राइस कैसे डिसाइड होता है? बेस्ड ऑन द डिमांड एंड सप्लाई. मोस्ट ऑफ यू, सो से 70% पीपल डज द इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड दे अंडरस्टैंड लिटिल बिट ऑफ मार्केट. कोई नहीं अंडरस्टैंड कर सकता है, फार्मा फ्रेंच भी नहीं कर पाए. जो कि बोले थे कि it is efficient market, right? Market is always efficient, he says. Pharma French, he got the Nobel Prize for that. But market is efficient, then सबको पैसे बनने चाहिए ना. क्या पता चलता है 90% of the people lose in the market. So it's economics. Anyway, demand and supply will decide the price. Same in ETS market, demand and supply of that carbon. मान लो दो कंपनी को चाहिए और एक ही कंपनी बेचने वाली है, बिडिंग बढ़ेगी कि घटेगी? Will you ask more price in that case or not? Will you get yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Absolutely, yes. There is no chance. If there is only one groom is there and then two brides are there, the groom price will go high or not. At least attitude will go high. He's in demanded, right? That's how it works in the EU ETS system as well. Cap and trade, have you understood? Government, a mandatory body fix a threshold. You have to reduce your emission from there, and this keep on reducing. There is another system to it. It will never remain that threshold ever. Every year, government will reduce your allowances. Which means what? Because government has to achieve a net zero, right? He wants to achieve a net zero, and hence he wants his companies to be clean, whoever is working in that country, and thereby he will keep on reducing that allowances. तो इस साल में उन्होंने बोला 1 टन और 100 kg ऑफ सीमेंट के लिए 1 टन ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इक्विवेलेंट का कैप है. इसके ऊपर किया तो पैसे पे करने हैं या बाहर से खरीदना है. Next year it will go to 0.75 or 75 kgs में, or sorry, 100 kg के लिए 0.75 ton of emission will be allowed. So it has reduced, right? So the पहले जो आधा half ton produce कर रहा था and half ton he was selling, can he sell now? He can't. So that reduction on keep on happening, allowances pushes him down, and that's why prices go up. इसलिए मैंने वो क्वेश्चन ग्रुप में डाला था, वोट, व्हाट डू यू थिंक आर्टिसनल credits, carbon credits are valued at? Why artisanals are valued higher? Because they are very rare right now. Nobody is doing. किधर है अपने वशिष्ठ, हैं क्या, क्लास में है? He does that. Yeah, he's there. Vasisht, tell us about carbon credit coming from the artisanal side and why the
तो
price.
बेसिकली आर्टिसनल क्रेडिट्स, इसमें कम्युनिटी का इन्वॉल्वमेंट होता है. Voluntary community involvement will be there. That is the major thing which makes it rare. There are companies who are producing, like we are into artisanal biochar products, and also we are into regenerative agriculture. That also covers under artisanal credits, where these farmers voluntarily donate their cotton stocks and also do voluntary farming as per our guidance, so that their emission factor from the agriculture sector can be reduced, because cotton stock is of none of their use. They just burn it on the field, which ultimately damages the soil. So we are just educating them so that they can donate their cotton stocks to us, which we are converting into biochar, but not with high-tech machinery, with very low-tech machinery, because we want more community to and reduce all the leakages, direct and indirect leakages in the point of production. So as a result, ये जो artisanal credits जो होते हैं बहुत rare हो जाते हैं, because they are unstructured and it is very hard to structurize them.
Then why the price is high? If it is a bad, there is technology is bad. They are not really creating a good stuff. Means the emission to produce those good product is high. Then why it is valued higher, Vasisht?
First thing, incentives to more farmers for getting more involvement of people into that. First thing. Second thing, all the carbon credits that can be valued higher when their end product has very less value, and the end product of the artisanal carbon program, that will be with a very low value. So that's the main reason that these credits are getting higher in value.
Okay, चलो एक और
And
economics.
getting them is also a very big task.
True. Getting is a big task and it is rare in value, but I will tell you the real reason why it is very high and companies like Google,
Can
Microsoft.
I
Yeah, please,
add
please.
to that? Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe covering the multiple SDGs which could impact on a larger perspective.
multiple.
SDGs goal.
Ah, yes, absolutely correct. That is the reason I was coming to that not only SDGs, it removes the poverty, it helps the community, it helps, you are not getting benefit from only one side. You are getting benefit from environmental protection, social protection, and your governance is right because you are doing a CSR as well. By buying it, by literally incentivizing those guys to produce more, get employed, get their kids educated. So impact is threefold and which can be measured in SDG. Very good, right? So SDG के impact की वजह से those prices are always higher and going to be higher because production process is very difficult and it can be only happened in an area where people are not employed. If they are employed, they will never do this. And hence you are giving employment as well. And there is a new terminology for this, Vasist. Do you know what is the new terminology for that? Called just transition. Just is that word which brings the community in play. Yeah, and the advantage of it. So कल से आप थोड़ा सा अपना jargon change करेंगे. चलिए next. And by the way, he's a very good person there. He knows all this stuff and he helps a lot of companies. Last one is Indian Carbon Offset Program. I will briefly cover here, but I want you guys to read because I have a case study coming, which I want to cover before I close the class today, right? So let me cover briefly what Indian Carbon Offset Program is. Now, India's journey towards carbon leadership has started and it has changed in 2023 massively. First of all, BRSR got implemented, so we are using that. Second, Indian government has pushed for a CCTS system once their REC system failed miserably. Renewable energy credit system failed, which was based on CDM, right? Which Kyoto Protocol brought in. It failed. Why it failed? Because at one point in time, anybody who bought this RECs were actually looking like fool because immediately those RECs had no value. Anyway, in India, it has no value. When you go to purchase, it has huge value. You can't purchase it. But after you purchase, there is no buyer or seller because there is no vibrant credit market in India. India wanted it to change and few private company did it really well. Tell me which one was that private company which has made fortune just by creating voluntary carbon credit market in India at a smaller scale and later on become very big, well known. एक मिनट रुकना, अमित रुकना.
EKI.
अरे यार, आप बता दिया मेरे को, दूसरे से भी तो पूछना है ना. लेट देम पुट देयर माइंड सेल्स इन प्ले एज वेल, राइट? Yes, EKI Energy, Indore-based small firm who has really done well. However, their credits are now taken with a pinch of salt, right? People are not really confident about it, and hence Vera has taken over the market, or VCS we say. They have taken over the private market. Clear? So be careful here. Now that concept, but government wanted to create a compulsory market, same like EU ETS, right? What they did is they have created in 2023 a CCTS system or carbon offset program. Now, this carbon offset program is also part of NAP, which we have learned in chapter 1. So similar type of that program, they have followed all those regulations and they have adopted policy with purpose. They say this policy has a purpose. Now, Ministry of Environmental, Forest and Climate Change has introduced this program to support projects that directly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Directly. The condition is you have to directly do. Don't say that indirectly my value chain is doing, etc. It was born under umbrella of Kyoto Protocol Clean Development Mechanism, which is CDM. But India didn't stop there because they realize it has a lot of issues. So over a period of time, they have built a now a robust framework, which they introduced in 2023, which India says its own climate priority. They are setting based on those industry where they think should take action first. NAPCC, anybody who wants to put the full form, is National Action Plan on Climate Change, right? So इंडिया में हम लोग उसको नेशनल एक्शन प्लान के ऊपर क्लाइमेट चेंज के बारे में बोलते हैं. So NAPCC is that short word. Again, it is under MOEFCC. What are the key features here? Local projects होने चाहिए with a global impact. This program empowers a clean development through real projects like solar parks in Rajasthan. It is required there because there are a lot of barren lands. Wind farm in Tamil Nadu. Energy efficient bricks cleans and afforestation program effort in the degraded regions are those particular projects which has a global impact, and they will be able to trade their carbon credit efficiently in the compulsory market. What is compulsory market? What is voluntary market? We will be learning again in the module number 7. But what is required here, that each project should generate a carbon credit which can then be traded in international carbon market with verification. Verification is very important word there, which will allow India to earn both, one, environmental, and second, economic dividends. So both dividend India can take if the CCTS market really gets effective and no people go there and start selling, quack business, right? We are always worried about, because हमारा country जुगाड़ पे चलता है, right? We love जुगाड़. या कोई बोइंग बना रहा है, हम बोइंग बनाएंगे, लेकिन हम अपने बगल वाले चाचा जी से बोलेंगे जो पंक्चर भी बना देते हैं, ये भी कर देते हैं, उनसे बोलेंगे कि भाई करके दे दो, बोइंग का विमान बना के दे दो हमें. That's the problem in India currently. We always tend to go towards jugaad instead of doing something innovative totally. Jugaad is important for middle income country like ours. I need it. I totally support it as an economist, but I do not support it as a quality innovative product. Okay. Do jugaad, but make better than Boeing. Then I will accept it. There are certain mechanics like that in neighborhood who can fix BMWs better than the BMW showroom, trust me. And they have those softwares as well. So I take them the car and they fix it. And 1/10 of the price. 1/10. Sometimes it looks like I'm doing it free, getting it free. So there are few of those minds in India which are exceptionally experienced and does it really well. So it is not about numbers. Please understand this CCTS program. Hope nobody start doing jugars here. I'm worried about that, right? Because every acre of land, which is for the Bankarji, if I am reforestating means that actually a ton less of carbon in the atmosphere per acre, at least 1 ton I will be able to reduce. But that has to be done with the chest, not just with the jugaad, right? And that will bring us to the climate equity and sustainable development. And India can become a global climate partner in that case if this program gets to the success like we have seen, specifically in the case of European Union, right? We can do it. We are doing it already. You can hear from Vasist. He's selling at $120. But you go and ask the farmer in Karnataka, you know how much he is selling his, land use agriculture one. Agriculture carbon credit is sold at what price? Anybody has any idea?
Sir, 75 to 83, sir.
वशिष्ठ आपका बहुत ज्यादा है, $2.5 से $15 पे चल रहा है जो कार्बन बेच रहे हैं हमारे फार्मर्स. मिडिल मैन पैसे बना रहा है इसमें. समझे आप? दिस इज द चैलेंज इन इंडिया, दैट पीपल लाइक वशिष्ठ हु आर रियली इन्वॉल्व्ड इन इट इज एबल टू गेट समवेयर बिटवीन इवन 70 फॉर दीज गाइज. But the quacks are making them to sell at $2.5 to 50. Just Google it. गूगल करो, आपको न्यूज मिलेंगे कि एक कर्नाटका का फार्मर है जिसने ₹10 का $10 पर कार्बन क्रेडिट सेल कर रहा है. बट फॉर हिम इज इट एडिशनल इनकम. ही इज नॉट डूइंग अ कंप्लीट सस्टेनेबल स्टफ. ही इज गेटिंग एडिशनल $10. सो इट इज अ गुड न्यूज, पॉजिटिव न्यूज. बट चैलेंज इज व्हेन द पोटेंशियल इज 75, व्हाई ही इज गेटिंग 10? उसका लिविंग एक्सपेंस नहीं निकल पा रहा है उससे. आप समझिए बात, राइट? ही इज थिंकिंग कि मैं टोमेटो भी बना रहा हूं उसको ब्लैक में बेचूंगा प्लस कार्बन क्रेडिट. That's how he is thinking. But ideally, he should think like Vasist. People are Vasist, like Vasist, who are actually giving these farmers 75. And if they are doing artisanal, then it goes to 120. That is the market India should have. Yeah. So there is a huge gap right now between voluntary carbons and mandatory carbon market. Hopefully, mandatory carbon will be able to control the prices and we will have a better climate resilient country. Now, everybody read those different laws. There are 9 different laws around it. If you get time, please read it. Let me conclude with a case of Tesla, right? This is one of the best example that how you can use such kind of national program and become profitable. Aligning a corporate and national carbon reporting framework has done by Tesla, which has not been seen in any other case. Let's explore this financial, fascinating intersection between financial jugglery and reporting frameworks. And he is doing complete authentic. He is getting benefited from the policy like GHGRP, EU ETS system, both he is capitalizing on, where national climate regulations like these are helping corporate carbon reporting, and he is becoming the beneficiary. What is the statistics here? The statistics is this green line. You know what are these green lines? Can anybody read it? What exactly is it? These are the specific revenue each quarter Tesla is earning from carbon credit by selling carbon credit to the under these programs. EU ETS पे register करा के और GHGRP में register करा के these guys are getting benefited there. He's leveraging this alignment. National framework, the rules which is driving his results. In a way, you have to understand they have a total revenue of around 60 to 67 billion dollars. Okay, out of that 1.5 billion dollar, which is pure profit, because there is no cost to this particular sell. Carbon credit is when they sell a car, they get a carbon credit. Are you with me? So they are selling a car for $30,000 and they get a carbon credit on top of it, which might be $2,000 compared to the numbers, right? 67 divided by 1.5. What's the ratio? Can anybody quickly calculate on mobile or something? If somebody is sitting on their laptop. Approximately, I'm telling the approximately number. Now, these numbers which are on top of it, you see they report that major revenue, specifically the profit, comes from. Can somebody see the highlighted portion? What it says?
67 divided by 1.5 is 44.66.
So 148 they are earning approximately, right? So 1.5 divided by 67 is how much percentage wise? Can you tell me that?
1 divided by 67 is 0.014.
So approximately 1.4% revenue is coming from here, and that too
Yes,
adding
sir.
directly to the profit. प्रॉफिट इस कंपनी का इस साल में बिकॉज nobody wants to buy Tesla car. He is supporting Trump and Trump is putting tariff. All their showrooms has been vandalized in Europe. These guys have still make a small loss of profit of 200 million. Out of 200 million, trust me, 1.5 billion dollar billion जितना लॉस किया उसको रिकवर केवल कार्बन क्रेडिट करके कर लिया उसने. And that's why he's leaving Trump and coming back to his business. He knew that his business will not run now. So how he will fund Trump? Clear? This is how you can capitalize a smaller company. Revenue में छोटा है, right? 2% कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है. लेकिन profit में 2% is saving him right now from the losses which he is making because of he is supporting some wrong agenda. Are you with me? This is how company benefits from these national programs. EPA greenhouse gas reporting program of US and European Union ETS system. These frameworks set the standard that how corporates should measure, report and verify. He is doing that only. He influence, from harmonized reporting, which he is doing currently is which is mandatory required under these two programs, along with voluntary disclosure, which he is doing on national system, has shaped his business over a period of time. And that's why there were no real competitor till last year. Only China can compete because they can do whatever you will do. They can replicate. They will copy paste all the IP and send you back. BYD had become leader But profitability wise, still they will have a challenge because innovation remains with the Tesla, right? And that has become a carbon market gateway for them. Tesla carbon credit story, which is turning clean reputation for him and revenue, is stands out in all the carbon credit story which you must have heard. Tesla doesn't just make electric vehicle; it also generates regulatory carbon credits because of its produce a zero emission cars, right? Eventually, battery is another ball game. By the way, there is a big debate about the batteries. Is it clean? How many of you think batteries are clean? Whoever knows electricity, they know that batteries are totally waste, right? So we have come to end of the session. Okay. Any question you have, I'm happy to answer, and I hope we are within the time.
Sir, one clarification I want to give. Agriculture में total three type of credits they are generating as of now.
Very good.
One is from organic, one is from regenerative, and another is from agroforestry and horticulture crops.
Correct.
Horticulture crops के जो credits है, they are nearly to 30,000. $30 each, and जो regenerative का है 75 to $80, $85 each, and जो organic agriculture का है, they are less valued. $20 is the maximum cap anyone can get from that.
True, true. And these are the crops, right? What I'm talking about is lands. So farmer agar
Different methods of farming.
huh?
Different methods of farming.
Yes, yes. Three different method which you have told, isn't it? Three different method. Very good. Good. Posted something in the group about it, so let people read it. If you have some reading material on agriculture,
Yeah, I do have some. I'll share that.
please do that. Yeah, so everybody will love it and they will give you the silent clapping as well.
I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead, Jacob.
I'm not getting it, like how these carbon credits are generated, who validate all these things, how we are deciding the price. Like, okay, I get few of the things, but actually I'm not getting it, like where we can sold it, who all are monitoring it.
Right.
Like ETS is like European trade. ETS is like little bit organized, but how about Indian carbon market?
So Indian carbon market where private companies are going and verifying your carbon emissions, specifically RECs, not emissions. This private market are taking that. Are you taking like projects? If you are doing a solar project, what is your output? What is your operational emission? Zero, right? But actually you are reducing from the grid energy. Grid energy बनाने में 1 यूनिट में 10 रुपया लगता है.
Yes.
यहाँ पे आपको 2 रुपए में एनर्जी मिल रही है, वो भी जीरो इमिशन पे मिल रही है. आर यू नॉट रिड्यूसिंग दैट 1 or 10 rupees worth of 1 unit? Are you not reducing carbon emission worth of that? That's the REC. Okay. And that REC gets traded in the market. But you have to verify that actually you are emitting 10 rupees worth, 8 rupees worth, 20 rupees worth, depending on what number in location, your location, based on the emission factors. They calculate and then they say this solar power plant has generated so much worth of REC, tons of carbon dioxide, which they removed. If they were not there, thermal power plant might have emitted so much of carbon dioxide. Are you with me? That's one of the approach which private market takes.
And
But
how the price is being decided, and who is
price
going
is
to validate?
decided by the market price, market demand and supply. Always, even in UETS, there is some bottom price which they keep, which has failed in past. That's why people said, I told you, right, in the beginning, it failed in past. आप खरीदने जाओगे तो 100 रुपए का मिल रहा है, $100 का, बट जब आप बेचने जाओगे तो मार्केट ही नहीं है. So that became paper for people. And there was no way you can compensate using this to your carbon dioxide emission because it's already compensated one, right? So you cannot use it. And that's why some people have today commented that there is a challenge. This is not a right way. Carbon credit is not a right way. Why? Because somebody has already saved that carbon. And now you are buying this carbon to compensate your carbon emission, which is not right. And that is why when we will go in the 7th module, we will start with this debate. Okay, and you will understand better because you will also understand a lot of other concepts which are related to scope 1, 2, and 3. Let's understand that first. Once you will have that understanding, then you can relate with it. अभी बताऊंगा तो आपके ऊपर से जाएगा, नहीं भी जाएगा फिर भी टाइम वेस्ट बहुत होगा क्योंकि आपको समझने में थोड़ा टाइम लग सकता है. So once you will understand what is scope 1, what is scope 3, what is scope 2, how they come together, where is the double counting not happening, why it is not happening, right? Once you will understand that, then the carbon credit market will make sense to you. So wait for that day. Yeah, right? But I hope I have clarified your basic problems.
Yeah.
No worries. Naveen, yeah, go ahead, please, Naveen.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Sir, I had a similar question to Jayakant, even I didn't understand how it is regulated. But moving back to the example you gave with Tesla,
Right.
you showed the graph where it has been profitable quarter upon quarter just by selling carbon credits.
Not
So, is
profitable. That
it
is the carbon
right?
credit. That is the carbon credit value, not profitable. It is a profit only because there is no cost to it, right? When you sell a car, you sell a car. So
So,
there is no.
what my question is, whatever profit they're generating, and it is in the graph, it shows they have that much value of carbon credit they've sold.
Hmm.
Is it right in saying that they have been carbon negative in that period?
How they are carbon negative? Why you are
Is
thinking
it
they are carbon negative?
is selling carbon credit directly relating to their carbon emissions? Is what I'm asking.
No, 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 no. You have to relate with the example which I have given just now, that if you are a solar power company, what have you done? You have produced electricity, removing the electricity from the grid. Just example, Naveen, in your house, currently you are using electricity from the grid. You are paying amount, certain amount to them. Now that amount is equivalent to certain carbon emission.
Right.
100 रुपए का आपने कार्बन इमिशन किया, राइट? इतना तो बोल सकते हैं स्पेंड
Yes.
बेस्ड मेथड पे. एंड आई कैन
Hmm.
ऑल्सो कैलकुलेट हाउ मच टन यू हैव स्पेंड बेस्ड मेथड पे कि हाउ मच टन ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड यू हैव इमिटेड. नाउ टुडे यू डिसाइड आई वांट टू पुट 3 kV a unit rooftop which government is subsidized as well, right? Now what will happen? There will be upfront cost, remove that. But now going forward, will you be paying any money to the grid?
No.
Will they produce electricity for you?
No.
No. So that has been removed. Similarly, in case of Tesla, Tesla is emitting. वो अभी केस स्टडी में, नेक्स्ट केस स्टडी में टेस्ला ही आने वाला है. उसका इमिशन भी देखेंगे हम लोग, स्कोप 2 भी देखेंगे, 1 भी देखेंगे, 3 भी देखेंगे. They are emitting to produce the car, which is their carbon footprinting of the
That
car.
that is exactly what my question was, because every part of their car is being, let's say, lithium and those all raw
Yeah, it's a
materials they are
massive
sourcing.
emission. Massive
Yes.
emission. वो आने दो
Yes.
केस, इसलिए अभी बता दूंगा ना तो सब कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे. स्टेप बाय स्टेप जाएंगे ना. फर्स्ट वी विल अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज स्कोप 1, स्कोप 2, देन वी विल गो टू स्कोप 3 एंड देन वी विल टॉक अबाउट कार्बन क्रेडिट. नहीं तो क्या होगा, बिल्डअप नहीं होगा मोमेंट का.
Sure.
आपने
Sure.
क्वेश्चन अच्छा पूछा है इसलिए आई हैव अटेम्प्टेड टू आंसर, राइट? बट डोंट वरी, वी विल बी आंसरिंग दैट एंड यू विल बी टेलिंग मी दिस स्टोरी. ओ दिस इज व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. ओके, होएगा वो, ब्रेक थ्रू मोमेंट होएगा, डोंट वरी. चलिए, एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? Any other question? Okay, so we have come to the end of the session, and if there is no